Hi, it's Sports Animals, and this is our 2021 draft special, and it's just in time because there is a big trade today made by the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs.
I thought you'd be a little sad about that because I'll tell you about the indirect implications. Well, Orlando Brown from the Ravens goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, who now have 10 offensive linemen, and the Kansas City Chiefs give up their first overall pick in the draft. In the first round, it'll be number 31. Baltimore gets it. But a lot of people think the Ravens are able to do this because they're picking up a Pittsburgh Steelers offensive tackle. Alejandro Villanueva is now going to be a Baltimore Raven. People are reporting. We'll find out if that's true later on. Not good news for your Steelers.
Well, Villanueva is he's okay, not a great run blocker. And that'd be interesting because he's a left tackle, so they would have to move him to right tackle because Levi Stanley should be back and healthy. That's the reason Orlando Brown left. Remember a little while ago, he tweeted, "I'm a left tackle." He filled in 11 games. He went from the right to the left side, and he feels more comfortable there. And so he has to be traded. And this is a big trade. So it's 3 draft choices this year and 1 next, I believe, is what the Ravens will get. So now the Ravens will have 5 picks, I believe, in the first 3 rounds. 2 in the first, 1 in the second, and 2 in the third. The NFC North is just getting better. The Pittsburgh Steelers are getting left behind. But that's a big trade. And that now, does that affect maybe where a running back might go late in the first round? Many people had maybe Travis Etienne going to the Kansas City Chiefs at 31. Baltimore Ravens, we'll check out what their needs are in just a little while. But that was very interesting, and I'm glad they got it done before the draft. So we can all agree that the first pick in the draft is going to be Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback from Clemson, correct? We can just move on, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest no-doubter, no-brainer that we know is going to happen. I know nothing should shock us. That would be a big shock. We know he's going to Jacksonville, yes. That's why Urban Meyer came back.
All right. And, last year we kind of did a mock draft and we compared, picks and stuff like that. Today, we'll kind of do one together and come up with a consensus mock draft. So are the New York Jets, and you follow the New York media more than anybody I know, are the New York Jets for sure drafting Zach Wilson, the quarterback out of BYU? Or
interesting you mention that.
Could Justin Fields land there?
I don't think this was almost like a Trevor Lawrence kind of pick where the New York media today interviewed Joe Douglas, Jets GM, yesterday. And he said, well, we're not set on anybody. We're still looking things over. The beat writer said that's kind of funny. Everybody knows he's lying. They are taking Zach Wilson. Done deal. Gonna happen. That would be as big of a shock, supposedly, as if Trevor Lawrence didn't go to Jacksonville. It's gonna happen. Okay,
so at number 1, Trevor Lawrence. Number 2, Zach Wilson. Number 3, the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to ask the same question. And this is the dominoes are being set up right here. At number 3, a lot could happen depending on what the 49ers do. Are the 49ers going to take Mac Jones? Are they going to take him all the way up at number 3? And if they are taking Mac Jones, why do they trade up to number 3? It doesn't make any sense to me. Now, they did go to Fields' second pro day and evaluate him. And, if you talk about potential in this draft, nobody has more potential. Nobody has more ceiling room than Justin Fields. People tend to blame him because he went to Ohio State, just as people kind of blame quarterbacks because they went to USC. But I'm wondering if Fields goes number 3 here to San Francisco.
We've heard all 3 quarterbacks mentioned. You can put Trey Lance in there as far as the rumors, and the overwhelming favorite seems to be Mac Jones, as we heard. I go back to something you said a minute ago, Chris. They went to that pro day. I know they could have used that as a smokescreen or try to get other teams, maybe their trade interest up. I don't think there was any reason they went to that second pro day for Justin Fields, except for the fact they want Justin Fields. I don't think you go wrong with either one. I think it's him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people go to pro days. I mean, everybody went to Trevor Lawrence's pro day. I mean, why were the New York Giants why were the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at his pro day? They're not going to draft him. But for whatever reason, let's say it. Let's shock the world right now and have the dominoes start to fall. Justin Fields, number 3 to the San Francisco 49ers,
I have that. That's what I have. And I did a lot of thinking, and we know it could be one of the three. I just think that going to the pro day puts them over the top as far as the leading candidate for that number 3 pick with Justin Fields.
All right, so you have 3 quarterbacks in the first 3 picks. You've still got Trey Lance, and you got Mac Jones out there. The Atlanta Falcons at number 4. What say you, GD?
What say me? Well, I say they're going to make a trade. And it goes to, I only have a couple of trades. I only have 2 in the first round, actually. But we keep hearing that Jerry Jones is in love with Kyle Pitts, and who wouldn't be? He is that good of a player. He could be a franchise-changing player, not by himself, but he could really be a difference maker. Jerry Jones wants him, and if you really want him at number 10, you know he won't be there. You can't afford to go to 6, 7, or 8 to get him. He might not be there either. You go to Atlanta with number 4. They're entertaining phone calls from a lot of teams. I think the Dallas Cowboys trade number 4 and number 10, and also give them a second rounder and maybe a third rounder next year. But the Dallas Cowboys at 4 take Kyle Pitts.
Wow. I'm not sure they would have to give a second rounder this year, maybe do something like Orlando Brown, maybe a first and a third if they've got it, and maybe a second next year or something like that. Wow. So, okay, we've got a trade. The Atlanta Falcons are now picking 10. The Cowboys are here. And Kyle Pitts, who some people, like Mel Kiper and others, had him at number 4 to Atlanta. But you're saying that, it's going to be the Cowboys. Okay, we'll go for it. So at number 5, the Cincinnati Bengals, I would say they have to come out. I mean, you saw they've got a bad offensive line. And I would have to say that Penei Sewell makes sense here. This is something that everybody's talking about. This is what all mock drafts have in common. Excuse me. So at number 5, would you be safe to say they take Penei Sewell to protect their young franchise quarterback, or do you go for one of the star wide receivers and get an offensive lineman at number 38 in round 2? What do you do?
I agree with you. I think your big investment is Joe Burrow. You got to protect that investment, and Penei Sewell is that guy to protect him. You got a good receiver in T. Higgins last year. You can get another receiver early in the second round. There'll be a couple of really good prospects left. I think you got to go with Sewell. You have to.
All right, we agree on that. So number 5, the Cincinnati Bengals take Oregon tackle Penei Sewell. He's the first guy on our list who opted out, who's gone in this draft. Now, at number 6, the Miami Dolphins, in a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles, are picking here. There's been talk about getting more weapons for Tua Tagovailoa, whether it's Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase. Maybe it's Waddle. Although Waddle says he prefers catching passes. Didn't Waddle say he prefers catching passes from Mac Jones? Anyway,
yes.
Or do they go for an offensive lineman? Or do they trade down? Maybe they want an offensive lineman, but maybe they can get one and somebody else wants to move up for maybe one of the quarterbacks. There's a lot that could happen right here again at the number 6 pick for the Dolphins. What do you say?
Well, they do have a lot of options, as you said, and some people are saying maybe they move up to number 4. We hear that's a possibility. I don't think they do that. They have so many extra draft picks. You want to keep them. And to trade up to number 4, you're still going to get another good receiver at 6. There's no reason or necessity to trade up in the draft. Trading down could happen, but I have going after Jalen Waddle. I think you got to get to another weapon. Yeah, you got Will Fuller in the offseason. He'll be suspended for the first game. He's had some baggage. Sometimes he's pretty good. But you got another speedster like Jalen Waddle. I know he likes Mac Jones, but they've got some history, and I think you get Tua with a little familiarity with a player from Alabama, and I think Waddle could be the guy. You can't go wrong with the other receivers, but I like Waddle.
I'll go with that because you know what? Part of me says Jamar Chase. So I like Jamar Chase, but I like Waddle from the special teams aspect as well. But let's say it's Waddle. I mean, we're not betting any money here. Jalen Waddle at number 6 to the Miami Dolphins, which brings us now to the Detroit Lions at number 7. Do they go after one of the quarterbacks? Do they go after a star wide receiver? Do they go after a defensive player to go with their tough head coach? What do they do at number 7? I bet they're probably looking to trade down maybe. But if they're not, at number 7, the Detroit Lions, which way are they going to go?
I narrowed it down to A and B is what you brought up. I don't think they go after a quarterback yet, even though that's been mentioned. And I think, again, with Tua getting a player that he's familiar with, and Detroit losing a lot of wide receivers in the offseason. Kenny Golladay is gone. They lost Marvin Jones, I believe. A few others are gone. They lost 3 wide receivers that were free agents. You got to go after Jamar Chase. If Jared Goff is going to have success in Detroit, you got to get him some weapons. And I know they need help in almost every other area as well. But for Goff to have success, you got to get him some help. And I think Jamar Chase would be a perfect guy for him.
All right. That brings our second player off the board who has opted out this past year. The Carolina Panthers are at number 8. Matt Rule and their GM have mentioned in ownership as well. Hey, everybody, we're willing to trade down. We're willing to trade down. We'll see what happens here because, I could smell somebody moving up because you still have 2 quarterbacks left. And I don't see unless you see the Carolina Panthers taking somebody like Trey Lance or Mac Jones.
Well, we had a Carolina guest on our show. That's our side gig, or the gig for Jonathan Alexander, who covers that.
Side hustle
yes.
is the word you were looking for.
And he mentioned how they don't need a quarterback necessarily now. They're going to get help for Sam Darnold, but he's their guy. So they're going to go after maybe a veteran or another backup, and they might trade down, he said. And I have them trading down because the New England Patriots want a quarterback.
Wow.
I have the Patriots. That's my only other trade in the first round. Patriot trade number 15 to number 8. They swap picks and a couple of future picks as well next year. And they take Mac Jones.
So Mac Jones. Okay, so Mac Jones, who has a game like Tom Brady, a very accurate passer, very smart football player, and a pretty good leader as well, at least at Alabama. So a trade from the New England Patriots, they move up to number 8, and they take Mac Jones, the quarterback out of Alabama. Now we've got 4 quarterbacks gone, and the only other quarterback with a first-round grade left is Trey Lance. And the Denver Broncos are picking at number 9. Do the Broncos need defensive help? Do the Broncos go after a quarterback again? Do they go after Trey Lance? We haven't picked anybody. No defensive players taken in this draft yet. Does Patrick Surtain go to the Broncos? Does Micah Parsons go to the Broncos? I'm going to go out on a limb and say they stay defense, even though there's a quarterback out there, and go Micah Parsons, the linebacker out of Penn State.
See, I think that would make more sense than Surtain because they picked up 2 free agent cornerbacks in the offseason. Kyle Fuller was one of them from the Bears. So they got some help there as far as the defensive back situation. We had to get Troy Rink from Denver 7 and covered the Broncos. And he was mentioning that they're not exactly enamored with Drew Lock. Read another article from NFL.com. Denver Broncos really don't love Drew Lock. They could go after a quarterback. Micah Parsons makes sense. I kind of like Trey Lance going there, though.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to come up with defense or offense.
Let's go with your pick. Because that makes sense, and I think they could use that up. And I like Drew Lock a little bit more than what we've heard.
All right, so Micah Parsons, linebacker out of Penn State, who also opted out this past year. He goes to the Denver Broncos at 9. And now we have the Atlanta Falcons, who did an earlier trade with the Cowboys. You have the Falcons picking at number 10.
I have Patrick Surtain going there. I mean, they could use help in a few different areas, but that's a good pick. You trade down from 4 to 10, and you get a quality player like that. Their defense was pretty bad last year. They could, again, use help in several different areas, but I don't think you can pass on Patrick Surtain. I think he could be available at number 10, and obviously I have him there in my mock draft. I don't know if he'd be available much later, so I think that's a good pick for Atlanta.
Yeah, I think Atlanta, or do they take Trey Lance if he's still available at number 10? They've got cornerback needs. They've got a quarterback need. They also might need a tight end, but there's no more left of the first-round grade. An edge rusher, I don't know that you take this soon. Running back, guard, center, safety. They've got a lot of needs. Do you go cornerback, or do they go to Trey Lance?
The reason I don't have any quarterback there, I still think Matt Ryan has a few good years left. And when you're drafting that high, you want to get an impact player right away. They were really bad last year. They lost all those close games. They need to turn it around. New coaching staff, new regime there. Get somebody who's going to contribute in year 1. If you get a quarterback like Trey Lance, he's going to sit on the bench until Matt Ryan's ready to leave in 2, 3, 4 years.
Or does he beat out Mac Ryan? Do they change?
Ooh, that'd be hard.
You said new coaching staff. So Do they have a philosophy that say where we don't want, a stick man, hanging out in the pocket? We want a quarterback that can use his legs and be a lot more for the defenses to handle. That could be the situation. So we have to make a decision here on number 10, the Atlanta Falcons. Who are they taking? We're going to go with your pick. And if you're wrong, we will let everyone know that this was your pick.
And you're saying they're going to go after Trey Lance, so that's your pick. So I want to make sure we remember that and mark that down and document it.
Who are we taking at 10?
Patrick Surtain.
Okay. Who the Cowboys probably would have taken maybe if they were still at number 10.
Right.
All right. The New York Football Giants are at number 11. Their needs are an edge rusher, center, guard, linebacker, tackle. They need lots of offensive line help. And I would say that this might be they could go defense here, like with a good edge rusher. There's no defense. Only Micah Parsons and Patrick Surtain have been taken off the board. A lot of these edge rushers, there's not a lot of them, but they're being pushed down because of everyone taking the quarterbacks and all these great receivers. So do the New York Giants go defense? Think of the personality of their head coach and Dave Gettleman and all of those guys. Or do they go offensive line? I would have to think they go offensive line here because there's still a number of good ones out there.
They need help in a lot of areas, as you mentioned, but you didn't mention one area where on my mock draft, and this is going for the New York Giants beat writers, they're all in agreement that they're going after a wide receiver. They need to get Daniel Jones help. And I know that the areas you mentioned are important. Offensive line, they do need help. I got Devontae Smith going there.
Okay. Very interesting. Devontae Smith finally off the board, the Heisman Trophy winner from Alabama, going to the New York Giants. The Philadelphia Eagles are at number 12. That's from the Miami Dolphins via the San Francisco 49ers. Are you confused yet? And how do you like my glasses, by the way? I love this.
Pretty cool.
Pretty sexy. The Philadelphia Eagles are at number 10. The Eagles need a wide receiver or a cornerback the most. Where do they go? Do they go corner? Do they go wide receiver?
As you're talking about how cool your glasses are, it's great when you turn your head because the glasses stay in one place, or the frames do, while the glasses stay on your face. So it even has a better effect when we look at them that way. I think they need offensive line help. And Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern, where they had so many injuries last year and really had a poor time protecting their quarterback, I think offensive line would be their number one priority right now. So I got Slater from Northwestern going there.
That's a very good pick. I didn't even think about the offensive line because they were either banged up and not throwing any shade on Herbig or anybody, or any of the local guys, but they struggled on the offensive line. They struggled badly. And you know what? They can help out. Maybe it helps out their starting quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts threw for about 52% completions last year. I'm still wondering, though. We're saying they should take an offensive lineman, but do they take a receiver here? Or maybe
there's been talk about that as well.
But maybe there's no receiver. If I look at some notes here, how many more of these receivers are there? Some Waddle, Chase, and Smith are all gone. So Kadarius Toney, would you take him that early? I don't think so. So I just talked myself also into an offensive lineman here at number 12. We'll go with Slater from Northwestern. At number 13, the Los Angeles Chargers had one of the worst offensive lines last year, even though they showed great play from Justin Herbert. I'm almost positive at number 13, they're going to go for a tackle for the Los Angeles Chargers to help out Justin Herbert.
That's not a bad pick. Now, I had him going a different direction. I had him going defense because J.C. Horn out of South Carolina, the cornerback, is a really good player. But you're right about the offensive line. They need help in several areas as well. I don't think they need receivers. The running back right now are tight end, although they lose Hunter Henry. But offensive line probably is the way to go. Do you have anybody after Slater that would be that guy?
Yeah, the only it would have to be Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. Trevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State might be a first rounder, but maybe later on in the first round. So I think it'd be smart to guess that Darrisaw would go there. Number 14, the Minnesota Vikings, and we've got to go defense. Vikings had a horrible defense last year. And I think a guy that they would absolutely love on the defensive side of the ball is they're going to go interior line, because I don't think I think that I'm looking up, trying to find my notes here. Bear with me for a second, but I'm guessing the Vikings are going to go defense. They're not going to go with an end. They're going to go with Christian Barmore from Alabama. The guy is a beast, and I just think he's the kind of guy that fits perfectly into what the Vikings want to do on defense. What do you say?
I agree with defense and having somebody on the D line, and I debated a few different guys. I had Barmore going a little bit later, just a few picks later. I was thinking about Jalen Phillips, the defensive end for my University of Miami, or the U. I thought he's a guy that might fit in Minnesota as well.
The Phillips, as a defensive end. See, I'm not loving the defensive ends. I think these defensive ends, a lot of them didn't have great production. A lot of them, not all. A lot of them didn't have great production. And I'm looking a little bit at production as well. But can we go with Barmore, Alabama? Yeah. Okay, let's go with that for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Carolina Panthers are at number 15. Earlier, they traded down with the New England Patriots, who took Mac Jones. The New England Patriots, so the Panthers take who?
Well, I got to make sure that you didn't have somebody. You have Micah Parsons going a little earlier, because I have Micah Parsons going to Carolina at 15.
No, this is us. We're doing both of us.
Yes.
This is the Sports Animals mock draft, and we mentioned Micah Parsons going to the Broncos at number 9. Are you following along, Gary?
I have to remember that you picked him or not, because. You see this?
You see this? It's a pen. You can write it down as we're doing it.
Ooh.
It would go much smoother that way.
Here's the real Chris Hart coming out. I'm going to let you pick this, because I had Parsons there, so I can't think of who I'd actually like in that spot instead of him.
Okay, well let's.
Who did you have?
Let's do the exercise. So the in the AFC East, their top needs would be. You know what? Did we? I'm getting the Carolina Panthers. You know what? I'm going Trey Lance. Trey Lance is still there. Are you kidding? At number 15, they got to take a quarterback.
Well, again, from what we heard, they're probably not going to draft one in the first round because of Darnold. They might go at somebody as a backup, because Darnold right now is going to be their starter.
But if somebody like Trey Lance is still there, you know what? Then maybe somebody moves up in a trade. The Washington football team, we're calling it right now. The Washington football team is moving up and trading with the Carolina Panthers, and they are going to take Trey Lance. Makes sense, because Trey Lance is still available at number 15.
Yeah, again, the reason I don't think Carolina would do this is because you gave up so much for Sam Darnold with those draft picks, and then you're going to draft another quarterback who can start. It just wouldn't add up. So maybe they do make a trade.
Yeah, maybe, but it's, again, at number 15, this is starting to be the area where you might be advised to take the best player available. I read somewhere one of the, and it might have been Carolina, who actually said today, their GM, he had a first round draft grade on only 16 players. So after like the top 15, a lot of these guys, they're going to be picked in the first round, but he doesn't even give them first round grade. So we'll see. Let's say Washington moves up and they take Trey Lance at number 15. At number 16, the Arizona Cardinals, and they would need, let's see, what do the Cardinals need? They need a tight end. They're not going to get him here. Cornerback. Perfect time for a corner to go defense.
See, I thought maybe they'd want to get a replacement for Larry Fitzgerald. So I think they go to Minnesota, and Rashad Bateman, who's listed as the 4th best receiver in this class by many. I thought he might go there. I know you got obvious weapons there with Christian Kirk and DeAndre Hopkins, but Fitzgerald doesn't have much time left.
Wow. ESPN has Bateman rated as the 8th best receiver behind Tutu Atwell, Terrence Marshall Jr., and Elijah Moore. I would say that you don't take him at you can get him in the second round. He'll be there in the second round, maybe. And I don't know that you do that. I think your defense needs help, and you really need some corners there. You remember Honey Badger's not there, the safety anymore, but also Patrick Peterson is gone. So now you replace him with one of the top cornerbacks, and you go maybe with somebody like J.C. Horn, or I'm looking at my notes here, Caleb Farley, J.C. Horn. I really like Greg Newsome. Greg Newsome's very good. Which one do you put here, Gary?
See, the thing about Farley is that he had surgery in the offseason. Otherwise, he'd probably be a top 10, 12, or 13 pick. So he's going to drop a little, but he's still highly regarded by many. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those guys, but I understand that Newsome is the guy who's been rising on these mock drafts because he was impressive pro day, what everybody's seen of him. I might go with Newsome because he's a surer thing being healthy than Farley.
All right, just to recap, we've got Greg Newsome, the second from Northwestern, going number 16 to the Arizona Cardinals. At number 15 in a double trade, it's not the Patriots anymore or the Carolina Panthers. It's the Washington football team taking Trey Lance. At number 14, Vikings take Barmore from Alabama. At 13, the Chargers take Darrisaw, the offensive tackle. Philadelphia at number 12 takes the offensive tackle Slater from Northwestern. Giants take Devontae Smith. At number 4 in a trade, the Atlanta Falcons take Patrick Surtain. At number 9, the Broncos take linebacker Micah Parsons. At number 8 in a trade, the Patriots take Mac Jones. At number 7, the Lions take their receiver Jamar Chase. At 6, Dolphins take Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. At number 5, Penei Sewell goes to the Bengals. In that trade, the Cowboys at number 4 take Kyle Pitts, tight end from Florida. At number 3, Justin Fields, in a surprise, goes to the 49ers, Wilson to the Jets, and Lawrence to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now we are at number 17, the Las Vegas Raiders, and a lot of Raiders fans here hoping that they go out and pick maybe an offensive lineman, which they got really old. They might need a safety in this, edge rusher. A lot of defensive guys still left out there. What do you say, Gary?
I think they go on defense, and I think they go with a linebacker from Notre Dame. I'm hoping I'm going to pronounce his name correctly. Owusu Koromoa from Notre Dame, the linebacker. I think he could be a good pick for the Raiders. They do need help on defense. That was their bigger weakness last year. They had several areas, but their defense was one of the worst in the league. So I think you can get some immediate help maybe with a linebacker from Notre Dame.
All right. I'm just writing this down so we can keep track of this. Koromoa, Notre Dame. Hey, look at it. It's the Miami Dolphins again at number 18. Earlier, they picked Jalen Waddle. Now it's got to be time maybe to get another offensive lineman. They're not going to get a tight end. They are not going to, they're not going to go out and get another wide receiver here. Maybe they go running back early. They could use another guard, a center, maybe a safety.
The reason I don't think they need an offensive lineman right now is they had 3 rookie offensive linemen start last year, and they did pretty good. I think you can build with that. That's not your biggest need right now to me.
They did okay. They did okay, but their run production wasn't great, and there's room for a lot of improvement. But they had 3 guys starting. Did they have 3 guys starting because those rookies were really good? Or did they have 3 rookies start because they had nobody else? That's the question you have to ask yourself.
I think it's kind of a combination of both, and also they did pretty well enough to keep starting. I think only 2 started initially, and I forget who the third one that started later on in the season, but it's probably a combination there.
All right, so offensive lineman. I'm saying maybe you go for one of the top safeties here, maybe Trevor Merrick from TCU. That would be a great fit.
What do you think about the defensive lineman Kwity Paye out of Michigan?
I don't like him because he has no production. There's one thing to have a high ceiling. Now, and who is Kwity Paye? The guy, he got down to 261 pounds. He's like a big linebacker now. What position are you playing? Are you standing up? You got your hand in the ground. I stay, you know what? I could be totally wrong, but I say stay a mile away from Kwity Paye, at least at this point in the first round. Maybe if he's available at 30, 31, 32, you take a Kwity Paye if you need it. I'm not a fan. I would go with somebody who is the best safety. And you know what? Some people say the best safety by far, and it's a need, with Merrick from TCU.
Yeah, he's obviously a good one. Everything we've heard in the film we've seen. So that wouldn't be a bad pick. Okay, let's go with him.
All right, the Washington football team was at 19, but they traded with the New England Patriots. Oh, I'm sorry, they traded with the Carolina Panthers. So we got the Panthers here now. And who do they take?
See, I had Washington taking a running back. So now Carolina, I don't think needs a running back. You got a guy named McCaffrey, so that's not your biggest need, obviously. I think they could use a little help on defense. I know you don't like Pay there. What about Gregory Rousseau out of Miami?
Is that a need?
I think they need help in all defensive areas. I think linebacker might have been the bigger one, but Parsons is gone. I think that could be a need for them. Yes, I don't think they need as much help on the offensive side as the defensive side.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put Kwity Paye on there. I don't think it's a good fit, but they do need they do need help on the edge. That's one of their needs. So let's go with that. Right. Kwity Paye to the Panthers. At number 20, the Chicago Bears. Some people think the Bears are going to move up and take a quarterback. We got them here at number 20. And the Chicago Bears have so many needs. Quarterback, offensive tackle, guard, center, basically the whole offensive line, wide receiver, corners, and safety. So they need DBs. They need offensive linemen. This is a part of those. You got to take the best available guy. There's no quarterbacks that fit that, right? There's no there's as far as cornerbacks, you got J.C. Horn, Newsome's off the board, Surtain's off the board, Caleb Farley is still there along with J.C. Horn. I'd say they go corner here.
That's exactly what I had. I had him taking Caleb Farley, and I know there's a risk. I mentioned that a few minutes ago, but the Bears like to take risks. And we see how that worked out with a guy named Trubisky. I think that might be the guy they go with. And knowing that he's going to pass a physical and be healthy, I think he'd be the guy they take.
All right. Now it brings us to the AFC South. The Indianapolis Colts need an offensive tackle. Theirs just retired. Edge rusher would help. Wide receiver, safety, tight end, and corner. I think the Colts go right now. I think they might need a couple of corners. I think you go with the best player available. But who is it? Is it J.C. Horn out of South Carolina, the cornerback? Is it Jamin Davis, inside linebacker from Kentucky? Zaven Collins, outside linebacker from Tulsa. There's no tight end with a first round grade. Do you go with Trevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State, which would be a very good pick at this point in the draft? What do you say? Offensive tackle?
Well, I think those are all great areas that they would need. Initially, I had Barmore going there, but he's already taken on our mock draft. I think if you get a bookend with DeForest Buckner, you have a great nucleus there. And I'm trying to make sure I got it right. So we don't have Rousseau has not been drafted yet on our mock draft, has he?
Rousseau has not been drafted, but at this point in the draft, do you go with the best available player? Is Gregory?
You know how I feel about that.
Gregory Rousseau could be one of the best available players.
Yeah, right. I mean, again, my way of thinking is that you go,
but it's not who we want them to draft. It's who they're going to draft. Who are they going to draft?
I'm going to go with Rousseau.
This exercise. You're going to go with Rousseau? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll go with that. Gregory Rousseau, the edger from University of Miami. Now the Tennessee Titans are at number 2, and their needs include wide receiver, tight end, cornerback, offensive tackle, safety, linebacker.
Yeah, see, I had them taking Rousseau, and I moved it up after some of the moves we had. I'm not sure exactly who was the best pick. Again, you mentioned something earlier. I think there's only going to be one tight end in this first round. So I think we can agree on that. That's not an area they're going to go with. I'm looking at Davian Nixon out of Iowa. He was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, 13.5 tackles for losses, which led all interior linemen in Division I. That's not too bad. 6'3". You don't seem very high on him.
Well, it's like, what was that guy's name that was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year from Missouri, and he went to the Rams? Came out and told the world that he was gay. Right. He didn't translate. And since nobody's talking about him, I'm wondering if that translates. You know what? I'm going with the head coach's personality in this, and I'm going with a tough, as they say in the old days, a tough SOB.
Yes.
Zaven Collins from Tulsa. The guy is big, but he runs like a safety. Zaven Collins, outside linebacker, Tulsa. Yes?
Oh, it's a great pick. I actually had him going a couple of picks later to Baltimore, but that is a great pick, so let's go with him.
Okay, there we go. Zaven Collins, our outside linebackers are off the board. Inside linebackers, you still have Jamin Davis left. Hey, it's the New York Jets at number 23. I'll leave this one to you and shut my mouth.
Well, I know what you told me a few minutes ago. It's not who we want, it's who they're going to take. Well, I know what the Jets think, and a lot of the time they get it wrong. So I'm going to draft for them, and it's because it's a player I like. It definitely fits a need. Travis Etienne goes to the Jets before your Steelers would have taken him next. I got Etienne going to the Jets.
Well, it's a good weapon for Zach Wilson because he's a very good pass catching running back as well.
Right.
So you got a bonus in Travis Etienne, the first running back off the board at number 23. At number 24, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are on the clock. And the Steelers' needs are offensive line. They need a running back. Let me look at what other people say the Steelers need in the AFC North. Wide receiver. No, that's the Ravens. Sorry. Running back, offensive tackle, guard, center. Not a quarterback in the first round. They need an outside linebacker to replace Dupree. Wide receiver, slot cornerback, tight end. They got a lot of needs. I think I would love Najee Harris to go here. And I think a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans would. When you look at the offensive tackles that are still on the board, this maybe is where you get, the Steelers don't think like other people, though. You would say the next, Trevin Jenkins. Jenkins we did not pick yet, right? So Trevin Jenkins, the tackle out of Oklahoma State. Most minds would say, yeah, okay, this makes sense. The Steelers are going to take a tackle. They're going to be smart and take a guy here. And the Steelers have done an unbelievable job in drafting offensive lines. Whether you're talking about David DeCastro, you're talking about Marquise Pouncey, back in the day, Trey Essex, all these guys. I think Essex was a first rounder. He might have been a second rounder. But they've drafted in the first round when they've drafted offensive linemen, probably 90% of the time, those guys are all pros or Pro Bowlers. So I'm going to say, and I didn't realize this till I did some research, from North Dakota State. This is a guy that they spotted when scouting Trey Lance. From North Dakota State, a guy named Dylan Raduns. We'll go Dylan Raduns, tackle from North Dakota State. How's that?
I've read that he's definitely an NFL player. He's got enough talent. He will be in the league. I don't know when he'll get drafted, but that does make sense for sure.
Okay, here we go. At number 25, the Jacksonville Jaguars are here. They got this from the Los Angeles Rams. So the second pick in the first round for the Jags, of course, they took Trevor Lawrence first. And the Jaguars in the, Jaguars are in the AFC. No, they're not. They're in
Yes, they are.
Yes, there they are.
AFC South.
They got their quarterback. They're not going to get a tight end here. They could use a tackle or a guard. They could go defense with a safety as well. Maybe somebody on the interior line. Who knows? What do you say?
Well, I think you have to eliminate anybody who played at Michigan because Urban Meyer's never going to draft a Michigan guy. And I thought of a few that might be possible. You know what? This might sound not that crazy. I like the offensive line. I put Landon Dickerson there. I know he's got a little bit of a question mark with all the surgery, but we hear he's healthy now. And maybe you get a little bit more protection for Trevor Lawrence with it at center.
That could be. Is that the best available player? What about the guard, Elijah Vera Tucker from USC, Sam Kazi from Texas, Dickerson, as you mentioned. You know what? Levi Owuzurike. I have him as a first-round guy just because he went to Washington, and Washington always has a first-round pick in the NFL and the NBA drafts. But, gosh, you look at wide receivers. They could go wide receiver here, maybe. Kadarius Toney. This could be Kadarius Toney or Elijah Moore territory. It's just tough.
Well, you got to get help. It's going to be a process there. Even though with Trevor Lawrence, they're not going to go to the playoffs next year. But you want to build, and build. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those areas, whether it's a receiver, which they could use a little bit more of, or an offensive lineman, which they could use a little bit more. So let's go with your pick.
Okay, well, let's go with I'm going to go with best available player. And well, if you go with best available player, you might be going with J.C. Horn.
Oh, I forgot he's still available on this draft.
J.C. Horn is still out there. I'm going to say J.C. Horn.
Not a bad pick.
Jacksonville Jaguars. Now the Cleveland Browns are picking at number 26. They need an edge rusher. They need defensive linemen, period. They could go linebacker, corner. Should be a defensive slot here for the Cleveland Browns. Their offense is fine.
Then I better let you pick it because I actually had him taking the guard Wyatt Davis out of Ohio State, hometown guy who I know he's not listed at the top 3 or 4 in O-lineman overall, but the guy is just a guy who moves people around. He's big, did a great job at Ohio State, and for whatever reason, he dropped a little bit on the mock drafts I've seen.
All right, let's go with maybe here. Jalen Phillips goes, the defensive end from Miami. How about that?
Good pick.
All right, the Baltimore Ravens are the first of their 2 picks in the first round because of the trade earlier today. Ravens are at number 27, and the Baltimore Ravens could use a wide receiver here. They could use a center if Dickerson's still available. They could use an edge rusher. I don't know if they would go with Ronnie Perkins from Oklahoma. What do you say about Tony, the wide receiver from Florida?
See, I don't think that's the biggest need for them. I mean, I know you can always use more help there, but they did pretty good last year in that area. I don't think offense was the main concern, even though their defense is good. They can maybe get a little better. Now, initially, I had Collins of Tulsa, Davian Collins of Tulsa going there, but he's taken now the linebacker. So I'm trying to see who might be the best fit for them.
Yeah, I don't know if they take Collins if they got Patrick Queen, although Patrick Queen's an inside linebacker, so I take that back. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, well, that's what I had initially. I'm trying to think if there's anybody better to fit a bigger need for them.
Well, again, okay, who's on the board? You still have Najee Harris on the board. Maybe running back isn't a big need, but can you fit Najee Harris into your backfield? Wide receiver, Elijah Moore. We're looking at best available guys. You said they're probably not going to need a tackle. Maybe they go with a guard right here in Vera Tucker from USC. There's still some guys with first-round grades out there. Nick Bolton and Jamin Davis. Jamin Davis, the linebacker from Kentucky. It's an inside linebacker, but it's not too early to take an inside linebacker here. And Richie Grant, the safety from UCF. I think at this point, if there's some of those guys out there, one of the needs might be guard. I'd say go with Vera Tucker from USC.
Interesting. I actually had him going next to New Orleans, but he's going to be a guy that'll probably go in the later part of the first round.
Yeah. The New Orleans Saints are next on the clock. They're at number 28. Wow, we're almost done with this with our mock draft. At number 28, Saints could use a receiver. They could use a corner, linebacker, safety, guard. Kadarius Toney, one of the receivers here. Is that where they go?
I know he's highly regarded and up there in mock drafts. I just wasn't a big fan. The only guy I really liked on Florida's offense was Kyle Pitts. I didn't like the quarterback or some of the other receivers, Kyle Trask. I still like I don't think it'll be Rondelle Moore of Purdue. I think he'll be a second-round guy who I love, but he was hurt from Purdue. But Elijah Moore, he's still available. I mean, the guy's got the speed. I know he was hurt a little bit, but he's healthy, and he's got all the tools. I don't think you miss with him.
Great pick. Elijah Moore, New Orleans Saints at number 28. Hey, it's the Green Bay Packers at number 29. And the Packers' needs would include wide receiver, linebacker, outside linebacker, maybe even a cornerback. They need defensive help, or they could use another wide receiver.
Well, if you want to make Aaron Rodgers unhappy again, maybe you should draft another quarterback. Some people said that was one of the worst first-round picks in years, Jordan Love. You know, that sounds funny, and I know I'm kidding, but there's talk that if the Green Bay Packers get rid of Aaron Rodgers after this upcoming year, it'll save him, I think, $32 million on the salary cap. He's not long-term. He loves jeopardy. I know that sounds funny and crazy. They're not going to draft a quarterback. I just wonder about his future. But are they going to draft a skill position player? They don't seem to do that in the first round. So, I know there's guys that can help them. They've got some running back. They've got some receivers. Not great guys besides Devontae Adams. I think you go defense here. The offense really wasn't the problem last year. I mean, you look at the game they lost last year in the playoffs. I mean, it was the defense that just couldn't stop Tom Brady. So I think you got to get some defensive help. I'm not sure which area on defense would be their biggest need. There's several, but I think you got to go defense there. And I think Collins is still available on our mock draft then. Xavier Collins.
No, Collins is gone already.
Okay.
But if you're looking at a linebacker, the outside linebackers are pretty much gone. You know what? This would be a great spot because they need both linebackers. Jamin Davis, the inside linebacker out of Kentucky, would be great.
That sounds like a good pick, and I've heard such great things about him. So that sounds like a good one. Okay, we'll go with that.
The Buffalo Bills are at number 30. Why has Najee Harris not been drafted yet? Because he goes at number 30. This is where we keep
hearing how running backs aren't a big need in the first round. You can get good guys in the later rounds. Don't invest a first-round pick. But I agree. Buffalo's got a complete team for the most part. They got a good young team. You got guys at every position. You don't have a great running back. So yeah, I think Najee Harris, if he's still available there, you run. Don't even wait for those 10 minutes. Draft him after that first minute of the clock. You got to get this guy. He'd be that valuable to them. Can't miss.
Hey, thank you for tuning in. It's a Sports Animals mock draft. We're combining our talents or our non-talents this year. Baltimore with their second pick. This is the one they got in the trade with the Kansas City Chiefs. Boy, you know what? You got to hand it to Kansas City. Because Kansas City, by trading for Orlando Brown, this is like the Pittsburgh Steelers trading for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah Fitzpatrick goes to the Steelers at 24, 25 years old and is an immediate impact player, a Pro Bowl player. I mean, he was the stud of the defense, arguably up there with TJ Watt as far as defensive impact for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they've been looking for defensive back help since Troy Polamalu. My goodness. Now, you remember the Super Bowl last season's Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes was running for his life. You see what happens when you don't have a left tackle. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs have it now, and they'll be back. They don't need a first-round draft choice. They got a 24-year-old three-time Pro Bowler in Orlando Brown. Pretty incredible. He might be 23. 6'8", 355 pounds. Beast.
He's a man.
The Baltimore Ravens now at number 31. Let's go over their draft needs again. Running back, those are the Steelers. Wide receiver, center, edge, tackle, guard, safety. Do they go for a tackle here? No, you said they're addressing that in the offseason. So take tackle off the board, right? No tackle here for the Ravens. Now, are they going to go with maybe a guard, a safety, a edge rusher, center? I don't think they go center.
I got a defensive lineman, Marlon Tuipulotu from USC, 6'3", 305.
Tuipulotu from USC. Did I already Richie Grant. Richie Grant's a safety from UCF. He's big safety. He's very good.
Go with him?
I think he has more of a first-round draft grade towards around this time. So, and they've drafted, they've drafted well defensive backs. So Grant from UCF, which brings us our last pick in the Sports Animals mock draft at number 32, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do they do for Tom Brady? Get another offensive lineman? What's going on? Do they go defense?
See, I looked at it this way, and I thought a lot about this, where they got everybody from the Super Bowl team, for the most part, everybody has re-signed with them for next year. So that fits a lot of needs, except for one player. One player has not re-signed yet. He's a guy named Antonio Brown. He has not re-signed. Now, he settled his legal problem, so maybe he will. But just in case he's gone, even though he wasn't their number 1 or 2, you get a little bit more depth there. And I think they can afford to take a chance. They're that good where they can take Rondelle Moore out of Purdue.
Rondelle Moore out of Purdue.
Yes, wide receiver. Again, the guy was hurt for the last couple of years. He's not very big, but when he's healthy, when he's on the field, he was about as good as it gets. And I think when you're the Super Bowl champ, you can afford to take a little bit of a risk there with everybody else back from last year for the most part.
I'm not sure that would be a risk because if he's a guy that he comes in, Rondelle Moore, all of a sudden, that's your slot back. That's your faster Danny Amendola. That's your faster Julian Edelman. Maybe Tom Brady's even rallying for that. That I would rather have that guy, if he's healthy, than Antonio Brown. I'm wondering if they're getting ready to sign Antonio Brown. Even if they did, I still think Moore would be a great spot here in this draft for Tom Brady. Antonio Brown settled his civil lawsuit with his trainer, and I'm wondering if he just did that because they wanted to get that out of the way so that they could sign him. We'll see.
Right. And you got Godwin, you've got Mike Evans, you've got talent there, but if you get a slot, and I forgot about the comparison with Brady's former slot guys, Wes Welker for the Patriots. He's done well with those guys over the years, Amendola, the others, and Edelman. So I think that could be an even better fit for Tampa Bay.
All right, so here's our recap. At number 32, it is the Rondelle Moore, the Purdue wide receiver. We're calling him a slot going to Tampa Bay. At number 31, the Baltimore Ravens are going to take Grant, the safety from UCF. At number 30, the Buffalo Bills are going to take Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama. Green Bay Packers at 29 take Jamin Davis, Kentucky linebacker. 28, Saints take wide receiver Elijah Moore from Ole Miss. 27, Ravens take Vera Tucker, the guard from USC. Number 26, the Browns go defense. They take Jalen Phillips, the edge rusher from Miami. Jaguars take J.C. Horn at number 25. Number 24, Steelers take Jaden Raduns, the Raduns. We'll learn his name when he gets in the NFL.
Yes.
State. At number 23, the Jets take Travis Etienne. At number 22, the Titans take all-stud linebacker from TCU, Zaven Collins. That's 2 TCU players in the first round. At number 21, the Colts take Gregory Rousseau, help out DeForest Buckner and that good defense they have out of Miami. At number 20, Caleb Farley drops all the way to number 20 to the Chicago Bears, maybe the best available player at that spot. In a trade, the New England Patriots moved down to number 19, and the Panthers moved down to number 19. We had a 3-way trade, actually. And they take Kwity Paye. At number 18, the Dolphins take Merrick, the safety out of TCU. 17, Raiders take Owusna Karamoa from Notre Dame. At number 16, the Arizona Cardinals go defense, and they're going to take Newsome II out of Northwestern. Now, I forgot, I'm looking at my notes here. We did a trade, so it's not number 15 New England Patriots. It is the Washington football team. The Washington football team at number 15, they moved up because Trey Lance was still available. At number 14, the Vikings take Barmore, the DT from Alabama. At 13, Darrisaw, the tackle, goes to the Chargers to protect Justin Herbert. At number 12, the Eagles from the Dolphins via the 49ers take Slater, the tackle from Northwestern. At number 11, the Giants take a receiver in Devontae Smith. At number 10, it's the Atlanta Falcons in a trade with the Cowboys. They take Patrick Surtain. At number 9, the Broncos take Micah Parsons, inside linebacker from Penn State. At number 8, in a trade with the Patriots and the Panthers, the Patriots move all the way up to number 8 and take Mac Jones. At number 7, Jamar Chase is the second wide receiver off the board. He goes to the Detroit Lions. At number 6, the Miami Dolphins, in a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles, get Jalen Waddle. At number 5, Cincinnati Bengals. Everyone knows Penei Sewell's going there. In a trade, at number 4, the Cowboys move up to number 4 because Gary says they really want Kyle Pitts, and they take him here. At number 3, the 49ers shock the world and start the domino effect by taking Justin Fields, the quarterback out of Ohio State, at number 3. Why would they move up to take Mac Jones?
Right.
Number 2, the Jets take Wilson. Number 1, Lawrence goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, the Jaguars, with their picks here, instantly got better. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers instantly get better. The Buffalo Bills instantly get better. What are your thoughts on this first round?
Well, I think every team going, even after Thursday, is going to think, oh, we just got so much better by this first pick in the first round. Doesn't always work out that way. But I think immediate help, that's what I look at. The teams that are going to get better, if a guy's going to start, if you're going to get a rookie, who's going to sit on the bench for a year or two. I mean, Green Bay didn't get better with Jordan Love last year. So the idea is to get better with these guys immediately. I think Kyle Pitts helps Dallas right away. I think that really makes a difference there. I think Jamar Chase, I don't know if Detroit is better, but it makes them relevant with a new quarterback and a big weapon in Jamar Chase. I think it makes them kind of better. Devontae Smith's going to help the New York Giants. I think Slater helps the Eagles. If Jalen Hurts is as good as Jeffrey Lurie thinks he could be, you get an offensive lineman to protect him, that could be immediate help as well. Those are some of the teams that should be better right away.
Enjoy the draft, all the draft coverage here on ESPN Honolulu all day long, coming up next week already.
Getting closer and closer. I can't wait.
All right. It's time for us to say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody.